Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials in Hand. In this video tutorial we are going to see how to write a program in Python to find element at any given index of a tuple. So basically we will have a tuple and we will ask the user to enter the index, and we as a programmer have to return the element which is present at that particular index which the user has asked for. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So first of all, let's have a tuple called names which is having elements as a string. Now let's have the index from the user, and to do that let's have a variable called index simply. And we are aware that in Python we can take input from the user with help of input function. So let's simply write input and then the comment that we want to be displayed in the terminal. So let's write a relevant comment which is enter an index, right? Now we are also aware that this input function returns us a string. Okay, so what will happen is, let's say the user entered 5 and we will consider that that 5 is a number, but since it has been taken by input, so that 5 got converted to a string, so it won't be any number anymore, right? So this won't serve our purpose. So what we have to do is we have to cast whatever the input the user is providing to the desired data type, and over here we have to cast it to integer data type. So for that we'll simply write int, and within the parenthesis we'll provide this function. Now let's look more onto it. Okay, let's say the user has entered 5, then we can clearly walk with it because this 5 will be considered with help of this, and that will be converted to integer with help of this int casting. Okay, but the problem will happen when, let's say, the user mistakenly enters spaces and then 5. Then what will happen is that this space, since we are aware that space is also a character, so it might cause a problem. So we want to get rid of any mistakenly entered spaces. So to do that, what we have is something called strip. So with help of strip method, we can remove any character which is at the start or at the end. So what will happen is, over here, that since we are putting space, so we are telling that okay, take input from the user, and if that input is having any leading or trailing spaces, then remove it, right? Now this means that from this line, this simply means that we will get the index that the user is asking for. Now let's see how to find the element with help of index, which was the agenda of the video. So let's have a variable, let's say name at index. Now the way how we will find is, we'll simply write the name of the tuple which is name, and we'll give the index at which we have to find the value, just like in arrays that we do. So like this we will get the element which is present at particular index called index over here, right? Now let's print it. Element at, let's understand format as well. So let's write this dot format. Now what it means is, within the double quotes, we know that within this double quotes whatever thing we will write, that will be displayed, right? But if let's say we write like this, then what will happen then? With help of format, Python will look onto the format part, that like what we have to replace to this. So the first part should be replaced by what? So the first part should be replaced by index variable, comma, second part should be replaced by name at that index, right? So this is how this format as well works. Now let's run this program and see it working. So see, it's asking me to enter the index. Let the index be simply 1, and boom, here you can see that it's telling that the element at 1 is Ajit. So by this we not only saw how we can find the index, but also we saw some decorative format with help of format method. Like see, this part got replaced by the index, and this part got replaced by the name at index, right? So this is how the things work. Now let's do a thing. Let's say the user entered an index which is out of the bound. Let's say the user entered 6, which is not present in this tuple. Then what will happen? And here you can see that it throws an error. So to deal with it, we have a very famous thing called exception handling. So to do that, what will happen is, we'll simply write try, and within this try we will put the piece of code onto which we are suspicious that it might throw an exception. So over here we are suspicious that this line might throw an exception. That's why we kept both of these line within try. Okay. Now we'll write except, and in this we'll write the part that we want to be executed only when this throws an exception. So let's write, so what we want, so let's say the user has entered an index which is out of the bound. So over here we'll simply write index is out of the limit. Let's also tell the user that what's the limit. The limit is, now let's write the length of this tuple, which is length name, and since we know that this is the indication to the user, so let's write -1. So let's hit enter, and let's do the same for 6. Okay, and now earlier where you could see that it thrown an exception, over here you can see that instead of throwing that, it ran successfully for the except part. This is how we can find any element at a particular index of a tuple in Python. I hope you understood the things, but still if you have any doubt, then feel free to drop it down in the comment section. So this was all about the video. Thank you.